please subscribe to our channel. If you like us, our UFC Mount Rushmore of light heavyweights. All right, so we're going to look at this light heavyweight division, UFC Mount Rushmore. That's for Chevy. We didn't talk about this at first, but you want me just to give you my four? And then
Yeah,
you'll go.
give me your four, and then I'll tell you all the ones I agree with.
I'm pretty sure we're going to agree on a lot of these. It's a question. I feel like we'll have a difference of at least one, maybe two. We'll see how we go. At the top, the guy we don't really care for too much on this channel, but we know he's the greatest light heavyweight. It's Jon Jones. This guy is already in the UFC Hall of Fame for a fight with Alexander Gustafsson. He's let's see, he's a heavyweight champion already now. You know, his light heavyweight credentials, though, two-time champ. 11 successful title defenses, 8 successful title defenses during his first reign, most successful defenses in UFC light heavyweight division. You know, you look at
he was the youngest UFC champion.
Youngest UFC champion ever, yeah. But you look at guys like, UFC legends, Shogun, Rampage, Machida,
Glover.
This guy, he beat them all in their prime. Gustafsson, we're going to talk about another guy who's on a Mount Rushmore, who Jones obviously beat on this list too, in my opinion, is a Mount Rushmore. But Gustafsson could be a Mount Rushmore UFC light heavyweight in another universe if there was Jon Jones. You know what I mean? So yeah, he deserves it. Not much of a Mount Rushmore in terms of his outside activities. He's done everything he can, it would seem, to screw up his career. But if you just look at overall talent, even with potential drugs and all that, and I say potential, but obviously he's already been busted for steroids. But even more, I'm just saying, there's still, you cannot deny this guy's talent. So number one,
basically undefeated.
Yeah, never lost other than a weird DQ. Number two, for me, Chuck Liddell. And the reason why I went Chuck Liddell, not necessarily in terms of he was more talented than the third guy on my list. However, before there was a Jon Jones, before UFC was really taken off and was the ultimate fighter to put on the map, if you went into a gas station somewhere, there was a Chuck Liddell poster going nuts on energy drinks and everything. He was the star at one point of the UFC. Part of it was his feud with Tito Ortiz that really kind of captured everybody. And he was the man over Tito earlier in his career. I believe they fought 3 times, once late in their career where Chuck was a shell and Tito won that. But the first two, Chuck laid him out. And yeah, Chuck, what did Chuck have here? He's a Hall of Famer in the Pioneer ring, Fight of the Night 2 times, UFC lightweight champ, 4 successful title defenses, second most title fight wins in UFC light heavyweight division history. So, Chuck was a superstar. He was the superstar in the UFC at one time. So number two,
first real superstar in the UFC.
Absolutely. Number 3, Daniel Cormier. All right. You like Jon Jones, you probably don't like Daniel Cormier. You like Daniel Cormier, you don't like Jon Jones. Doesn't really matter, because when you look at it in terms of talent, Daniel Cormier is probably the next best light heavyweight in the history of MMA next to Jon Jones. Like, if there's no Jon Jones, then it's Cormier and maybe Gus. We talk about Gustafsson. Cormier had an awesome fight with Gustafsson too that was really back and forth. I feel bad for Gustafsson, but he's a guy, light heavyweight champion, heavyweight champion, you name it, champion in Strikeforce, Olympian, amazing credentials. But in the end of the day, I had to put him at number 3 in terms of talent. He's number 2 in terms of star power. I went with 3, given Chuck Liddell's earlier success. And number 4, I went a little old school again on this, looking at more like star power. Chuck Liddell was that guy. Another guy kind of right there to me. I thought about Tito. I ended up going Randy Couture, because Randy was such in that old school, winning the tournaments, won like the heavyweight tournament, and then also was a light heavyweight champion. And Randy was the first guy to do 2 divisions. All right. He was the first to win a heavyweight and a light heavyweight championship. And nobody had done that until Conor McGregor, then Cormier, and then Nunes, and then whoever else we got now. Ilya?
Cejudo. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. So to me, Randy rounded up my Mount Rushmore for light heavyweights. What do you have? What do we agree on? What do we got here?
All right. So obviously Jon Jones, yes, greatest of all time, youngest UFC champion. He cleared out lightweight before moving up and getting the heavyweight belt. Basically undefeated while mastering all aspects of MMA, including cheating. Master of that. Terrible human being, but yes, greatest of all time. DC, became simultaneous 2-division champion, which I don't know if anyone else was simultaneous 2-division champion. Cejudo might have done both at the same time as well, but but DC actually defended both belts while holding them as well. So, and his rivalry with John Jones elevated John to greatest of all time status. He was on his way for sure. He beat a lot of guys in his prime, but DC helped elevate him. So if there was no John Jones, we could be talking about DC as the greatest of all time. For me, I put Mighty Mouse up there, probably ahead of both of them, honestly. But on a lot of people's lists, they'd be 1 and 2. So I'm with you. Number 3, Chuck Liddell. Chuck, pioneer of the sport, built the UFC brand before Conor McGregor and John Jones. So the first real superstar in the UFC as a KO specialist, with that sprawl and brawl style he had. And then I went a little bit different. I didn't go with Randy, although that is a great pick. I picked Glover Teixeira. So, Glover, a lot of what Glover did in his career happened before he got to the UFC, unfortunately. He had some visa issues or something, but there was a point where he won 20 fights in a row between 2006 and 2013. And then after all that time, he's fighting all these great legends in their prime as well. He became UFC champ at 42, beating Jan Blachowicz. So shout out to Glover for sure. And plus now he's the coach of arguably the biggest superstar in the UFC currently in Alex Pereira.
Absolutely. Yeah. Glover, he's had a lot of credentials. And when you think about it too, I think, but really thinking about it, just winning that so late in his career too. It's very impressive. Yeah. Arby even got better as his career went on too.
Yeah.